Good evening. Is that Cat? Good evening, Cat. Sorry, missed you when you logged in. Right, so the last time you caught me, I was adding some air drain clay to the walls, sort of filling in up to the cornerstones that I've put in. And I've now done that, and I've sanded off the clay to get it to a smooth enough finish. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to carve in some stone detail. So it's a much rougher wall, this one. I'm going to embellish the laser board stones that I've put in, just make those lines a little bit thicker. But I'm also going to carve in a little bit of rubble stone. There's not a lot, but just at the top of the building. I'm referring to a photograph on the background there. Hey Pip. So this is a photograph I'm referring to. If I can get my camera in tight enough, but if you can just see across the top there's a little bit of rubble wall showing. Now I'm sure at some point they're going to re-render this and make it all smooth, but I just think it's a nice little bit of character to add in this side building. So the majority of the house is going to be sort of perfectly walled, but I just wanted to add a little bit of character to this side, so hence I'm just carving in a little bit of rubble detail. Just try and zoom in for you there. Can I zoom in a little better? There we go. So what I've done is I've smoothed all the clay down to the level of the card. So this is 0.6mm thick, so we've got a nice thickness of clay that just comes up to the card to help me determine where these stones are. So this is all going to be fairly flat and smooth with very little detail onto it. Carving I need to do around this doorway, and like I say, a little bit of sort of stone rubble work, probably up to about here, not too far, maybe a little bit more across the top, and then I just want to add some little bit of depth around there. So as you can see, it's all sort of blended into the other building. Again, it's quite rough, representing the actual rough finish of the house itself. Wait, don't chew my cable, you. I'll put you out. I've got a new companion tonight. My little cat Ginny has come to join, but if she's going to be a terror, she's going to get shut out on the other side. Ginny likes chewing cables. So I would imagine this whole wall was rubble filled. So not rubble filled, it had a rough sort of rubble wall finish with dressed cornerstones, and at some point it was all rendered over the top to make it a bit neater looking, I suppose. Good evening, Georgia. I hope you So normally I'd have lots and lots of fun carving in stone, but I'm only going to put a little bit in just to suggest that some of the rendering's fallen off. It looks a little bit mismatched at the moment with the rest of the house because I've not painted it, but once I've got a layer of paint on to the same tone as the rest, it'll all sort of start to tie together. And what I need to do is finish off this wall before I can put any paint on. What I was trying to say is what I need to do is finish this wall until I can get some paint on. I can't put the windows in until I've got at least the first stone colouring put on. There is actually only one glazed window, and that's that one. All the rest are... Sorry, that's that one, sorry. All the rest are sort of filled in door hatchways. Too expensive for you to chew through, Ginny. I spoil all your fun, don't I? Just have to keep dusting the dust away. This actually will be a lot easier laid flat, but it wouldn't be easy to film, so we'll stay upright, and I'll just carve in some it's like cobblestone. So I'll just move the scribe round in a kind of circular pattern, circular pattern, just making some rounded stones. Chewing another bit now, go away. I do have to just keep brushing every now and again just so I can see where I am, because it does generate quite a lot of dust. Good evening, Kay. How are you doing? Good evening, Andrew. Long time no speak. I was just thinking about you the other day. We haven't crossed paths for a while. So I've got a little bit of sad news for you guys that are not in the Discord group. Sadly, my companion of the last, well, goodness knows how many years that I've been making, Timmy, he of the clittering claws, when he's been wandering backwards and forwards in the background, he's sadly no longer with us, so there's going to be no more clicking of claws in the background and licking of paws. That's kind of why that's kind of why Ginny's allowed in at the moment. I don't mind her being in, but she's going to be a terror if she starts coming in and clawing up cables. At least Timmy knows. Thanks, cat. It's still going to take a lot of getting used to. I keep expecting to turn around and see him there, but it's really quiet without him. Thanks, Andrew. He was an old boy, but so it wasn't entirely unexpected. But it's still a sad loss. Well, on that, I just thought you guys would like to know, in case you were wondering where he was, why there wasn't any noise in the background. Like I said, there's not an awful lot of stone actually showing at the top here, so I'm just putting a suggestion of it. What I do need to do is just now come back to where these like cornerstones are, or these dressed stone parts, and just better carve that area in there. Thanks, Georgia. He'd already gone last time I was on. I just didn't want to mention it in case, because my daughter didn't know at that point, she was still away at university, I just didn't mention it in case somehow she or one of her friends had seen. Just thought it was best that she didn't know while she was still there. Didn't want her being sad all on her own. She's back with us for some of the summer now. We went to pick her up on Sunday. But she's hopefully going to be heading off. Well, hopefully for her. Not so much for me, because I'll miss her. But she's going to be heading off to South Korea for the year. So she's only home for a little while. She's then flying off towards the end of August and off to start a new adventure. I've already made the windows and doors that go behind these areas, but like I say, I can't put them in until I've painted it. It's for two things. One, it's easier if I'm painting without them in, and two, it keeps them clean. I haven't painted them either, so I'll probably paint them. Keeps them clean. I haven't painted them either, so I'll probably paint them. Or something here, which is why it's halfway up the wall. So I've made these cornerstones with the laser cutter. I've initially etched the gap or the joint between the stones, but it's only quite shallow and very fine. So I'm just using the tip of my scribing tool just to make it a little deeper. Because it's a kind of laminated card, it does scribe quite nicely. Although it's very much helped by the fact that it's been pre-engraved. I've already done these to an extent, I'll just do a little bit more. It's rendered right up to the edge of the wall here, but there is still a little bit of, well, you can see the stone on the inside, it's not rendered onto the inside, so I'm just carving a little bit on the inside there. The real thing is a lot rougher just at this point, but I'm going to use a little bit of artistic license and neaten this up. Although I can just allow a little bit of suggestion of the stone coming around the corner. So now I want to move on to this bit. I've got my laptop at the side of me here. It's not easy to get both on screen because of the size of the workstation, but you can see there, this is what I'm trying to carve in now. So I've already done, like I say, I've already done the corners, the edging stone. I now just want to go around it a little bit more. if you caught it last time, you'll have seen the bits that I was making here. I've just created these edge stones from a bit of laser board. Hello there, Anchor. How are you doing? Yes, you can talk to me in private if you want to. No problem. I may have to go silent soon because I just heard my son coming back in, and he's probably going to come in and want to start talking. It's just been out having a kick about. So if I suddenly disappear, it's because you can just hear him in the background there. If I suddenly disappear, it's because I've had to go and attend to the teenager. I'm just scratching off a little bit of clay that I've managed to get on the inside of here that I don't want to be there. It's not the best of tools, but it's doing the job. Baker Street, I'd love to do that. I need to find somebody who lives there and wants me to make a model of it. I haven't done any London Georgian buildings, or Edwardian, whatever sort of architectural period it is. I don't quite know off the top of my head. Right, just pausing a minute. Sorry guys, back in the game. Like I say, so I just want to embellish these detail stones that I've put in. It'll look an awful lot better once it's painted, believe me. Let's get a little bit of uniformity into it all. There's a big drain pipe that comes down this section as well, which will be sort of hiding the transition as such. So I mean, this bit's purposeful here. I can't quite really understand why we've got this this strange bit of cornerstone going on here, because it really doesn't make sense unless there was some other kind of building that that was in this place that followed that line. I mean, there could have been a small turret, I suppose, because this is obviously an add-on to the main house, which is this part. But I don't know. Maybe the owners know why. It's just it's just a strange little foible, but that's what the building looks like. Like I said, this is where the two separate parts join, and it's just yeah, it's like I say, it's curved, but if you look at the photograph, I've paused, you look at the photograph, that's what it looks like, but like I say, it has a noticeable curve there. So this goes down in a straight line, like these are the obvious cornerstones. Then we've got a strange nibbled away curve, and then it's dead straight again. So this bit's been built on and been built to sort of fill in this section. So I can only imagine there was some kind of smaller turret or differently roofed building there, and they've just knocked that bit down and made a new one. Because this was part of the building here, in its earlier incarnation, was part of the city walls. So it's kind of like a gatehouse for the city walls. And as it kind of got absorbed into the rest of the town, its use changed. This part here was actually the post office for the town at one point, before the whole thing got turned into a private residence. And subsequently, some parts of it were remodelled in the 1800s. And at one point, the part of the building, at least, was used for barrel manufacture for the local wine industry. It is. I do like things that have got a lot of interest and quirks about them, even though they can be quite tricky to build. It's certainly a lot more interesting than the standard box-shaped building. Although boxes are a lot easier to make. It has been a lot of painful working out, trying to get all the angles and elevations sorted. I think the cat wants to go out. Where have you gone? I thought she was batting to get out the door, but she's not there. I think she's actually hiding under the bed. Okay, so towards the bottom of this window here, we've now got a little bit of stonework that appears. So I'm gonna carve this bit in because it looks interesting. Hopefully I can do it justice. It's not the best of angles to be working on, really, because it's a lot easier if it's flat. But we'll see. You feel at home with quirks, yes. I like quirks. I felt a little bit like I've not been able to achieve much just recently for one reason or another. So I am on a concerted effort to complete the mission of at least getting a base coat of paint on this side and getting the windows installed. And then it's kind of another section well on the way. Will you leave those cables alone, you little terror? Sorry, cat issues again. Thank you for the gift, by the way. Very kind of you. Doing well, isn't it? I'm glad you got a day off and you can keep me company. Oops, I can't pick the right thing up there. Right, I think I've got that just about how I want it. I'm going to come around the corner now because I just need to do a bit more on a different part. Not an awful lot, just a little bit. Oops. Now, as you can see, this one is quite dimpled. So what I really need to do is do a lot more sanding. I'm going to do that off camera though because it's not a great one to do. Major thing I want to do is just carve in some better stonework here. I've just temporarily taped a tentative bit of roof on there. I'll just take that back off again so it's easier to work with. I keep hitting the camera, sorry. I'm taking a little bit of artistic license with this part of the building because there is another building that comes off this area in reality, but I'm not actually going to make that. So this is where the wall finishes. So I'm just making a plain wall carrying all the way down. Like I said, in reality it does have another sort of low single-storey building that projects off this elevation. But this comes down to ground floor level, or floor level. Because the road's going to go, or the base is going to go right down to the bottom here, so I might just mask off this with a little bit of sort of foliage. Just taking a bit of artistic license, like I say. I've just got to go over all these little etched lines, just make them a little bit deeper. Sorry, it's just lots and lots of scratching at the moment. Once I've finished recarving these, I'm just going to sand off this, so I might go off air to do that. Although it's quite a rough wall, it's not got very much divots like this, so I think I must have sanded it down originally in the dark, because it's a real bumpy job. I thought it was actually a lot flatter than that, but thanks, Ross. You've got another 2.5 weeks. Thank you for sharing. It's coming down towards the bottom now. Hi Sarah, yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you? Sorry, I just need to change the reference photograph. I just want a photograph that shows that corner a bit better. That one doesn't. I'm sure I had a decent photograph of that bit. That's too small. Maybe not. You're finishing work on the 22nd, are you? Excellent stuff. Right, sorry, what I wanted to do was just see what this corner looks like. So I've got a bit more carving to do just around the corner here. There's another building that fits in this section, so I don't have to do it all. Whereas that one's got a plain wall. This bit here has a building that comes... Sorry about the scratching, comes to about there. So this wall and the majority of this wall are going to be hidden by another building, but I still have a little bit of round the corner carving to do here. And there is a chimney that sits on this bit of wall. I have made the chimney stack, I just haven't fitted it yet, but just where that chimney is, there's a little bit of stonework that comes down that wall. So I'm going to make that as well. I'll carve that in as well. But just for the moment, I'm just continuing around here. What I'm going to do here is similar to the rest of the building. We'll use grout to cover this section off. So that's one of my many tasks left to do here. So once I've finished carving in the stone, I'm going to sand off this part a bit better, and then I'll paint this bit with neat PVA glue or wood glue and sprinkle some very fine grout mixture onto it to get the textured wall surface for that bit. I'm just going to tilt it a little to get a better purchase on it. I don't really have to go too far down. Hey Joe, how are you doing? Right, now the next tricky section. All this line here is just running glue, which will be covered. Right, so I say the next section, I just need to come around the corner where I've got these bits of dressed stone on the front. I just need to carry that over a little bit, because we've just got a suggestion of stone. Whereas the rest of it's been rendered, we've just got a suggestion of stone all the way down the corner. And like I said, there's a little bit where the chimney stack comes in. That's got a little bit of exposed stone. Although, again, I could just leave it with a bit of artistic license and have it as if it was as if it's been covered up with a bit of renovation work. I did actually intend to put some carved capstones in like I did on the rest of the building at this point, but I never got round to it. This bit's all hidden with some new build, another building, so I'm not going to carve all the way down there. Did you really, Ash? I've been doing this for about 15 years now. This particular model I've been working on for the last 2 months. It's a rather ambitious project. I'm just going to get a pencil just to help me. identify where things are. I'm just roughly sketching in some cornerstones here that are going to be visible. This is a side job that I have, so this is a commission piece. I do actually work full time in another area, but yeah, this is paid work. I've been recreating people's homes in miniature for the last 4 years now. Started off as a hobby, and then gradually I ended up making things for people. So once I've gone over with a pencil, I'll just go back over with the scribing tool. Again, it's a bit of a weird angle. Let's see if I can just oops, I dropped my knife. Let's see if I can turn it around again. I don't have an awful lot of space here because this is actually bigger than my it's taller than my shelving, so I can't actually push it back any further than what it is now. It does make parting ways with it. Every job I do becomes a little part of me because I put so much time and effort into it. You know, I mean, I'd have absolutely no way of storing anything, but they take up so much room. But it is quite sad seeing them go sometimes. As weird as it seems, some pieces I forget I've made altogether until I look back on photographs and think, oh yeah, I remember that now. Some of them just blur into the other. Small bit of sandpaper somewhere. Oh, I did. Did I throw it away? Sandpaper drawer. Hello, Patrick. You can't play. Why can't you play? Have you been disqualified, or you're away? Or you've got concussion? Yeah, I think I've got a mild form of that myself. Not concussion, the ADHD. But I do have, maybe it's the sort of opposite. I do find I can concentrate for large periods of time and get to the point where I've lost track of time. But I end up obsessing over things. Yeah, I've been okay, Patrick. I've been really, really tired, which is why I've not been around much. And it's kind of got me a little bit stressed in a way that I've not been able to continue working. But at the other side of it, I just told myself, well, I do need the break, so I'm not going to stress over it. I'm just going to leave it to it. It is what it is. It'll be what it'll be, and it will get done when it gets done. I used to have a bit of a panic over my waiting list, but most people are really quite accommodating when it comes to appreciating just how long it takes to make a project. I mean, I must admit, this, even without the break that I've taken, this has taken me a lot longer than I originally anticipated. Even reducing it down to a smaller project than I was originally gonna do, because like I say, I've chopped part of this building off. Originally I was going to do the full thing, but it would have A, taken me twice as long, and B, been realistically unrealistic in terms of the sheer size of it. If you remember the thatched farmhouse that I made, that was a big base size. This would have been just a little bit bigger than that, but this is a bigger scale, so it would have been doubly big. Maybe about the same footprint, or maybe just a bit bigger, but it's quite tall as well. And given the fact that it's got to get to France, it can't be too unwieldy. Going to end up with a blunt scribing blade doing all this scribing straight onto grout. Right, I need to do a bit of work on the chimney. There we are. So if I just put that on there temporarily, where did I put my pencil? There it is. I just want to mark on where that little bit of stonework appears. another row. I don't know if you can quite make out what I'm doing here, but I'm just scribing in some exposed stone just where the chimney sort of sits underneath. I've now put down that bit of chimney. There it is. So that's the chimney stack that I've built. That will sit on top of there. I just need to glue that down. I was sanding it all flat because it's made out of several layers. I'll just put that back up there. Right, scribing wise, I'm pretty much done. Scribing wise, I'm pretty much done. What I need to do now is do a bit of sand. Yes, could do. I could use a whetstone. In fact, I do have a small one somewhere. So essentially this is just paper. Paper mixed with plaster, or something very similar, to create the clay. So it is actually quite easy to just sand off. I'm using a little sanding sponge here. It does actually create a nice effect of adding a bit of texture to it as well. I don't want to get it mirror smooth. All I want to do is just try and get those bumps out of the wall. When I applied the clay, I did use a knife to try and carve it flat to the cornerstones, but we have ended up with bumps. Still quite bumpy indeed. It's going to end up very, very dusty. What I'll do is use a vacuum cleaner afterwards to vac all the dust up. It's getting there, but it's still quite bumpy. I'm actually using now as a slightly rougher sandpaper around a wooden block, so it's got a flat sanding edge. Doesn't half make your arm hurt. Ache. Right, we're still not perfect, but we're a lot better than it was. There's an awful lot of dust. That's actually much better now. It does actually show a few little imperfections in the camera light, such as there. That looks really bumpy, but it's quite flat actually. I mean, it's not a perfect wall as it is, but when you work in miniature, the slightest little imperfection is exaggerated tenfold. Once we've got some paint on there, it's going to look a lot better. And my aim is tonight to get this painted, so I can then work on putting the windows in. So what I'm going to do now is vac up that dust. The bottom is going to end up being covered with a little bit of foliage for artistic purposes. A bit more sanding and a bit more backing. Right, and what I did say I was going to do before painting is I needed to add a bit more texture to that other wall, and to do that I'm going to use some smooth grout. But first of all I need to paint the surface of the wall with some glue. I think I've got enough grout left. Not much, but might just be enough to cover that area. I'll have to be sparing with it. So, like I say, what I need to do is cover that wall with some wood glue. And I've just got some cheap bog standard woodworking glue, and I'm going to paint that over the wall. First of all, I need to cut the top off the nozzle. And it says that, but is it a nozzle? Can't actually undo it now. I wasn't sure if that's the lid or not. Do you know what? I'm going to use another glue, another PVA glue. I've just got this PVA sealer. That will do the trick for now, because I'm having slight technical issues with getting the lid off the other tub. So bear with me a moment, please. Okay, I'm just going to use a brush to paint on a layer of PVA. He has to go on quite smooth though, otherwise I'll end up with big lumps where I don't want lumps. Hello Ray, how are you doing? Happy Tuesday indeed. Long time no speak. Sorry I've not been doing much recently. I've just been, to be quite honest, exhausted. But I'm back on it again now. We're motoring along. Okay, I think I've got a decent coverage there. Now I'm going to have to tip this whole thing up so it's on its back. And now I'm going to take this grout mix that I've got in a tub. Now, I've not got much of it, so I'll have to be fairly sparing. And I've just seen there's a lump of card or two that's just fallen in, which I need to get rid of quickly. Because the last thing we want is to end up with that stuck to the wall. And there's another one there. I think these are little bits of roof tile or something that have fallen into the tub. Maybe I should have checked beforehand. I think what it is this is because I'm right down to the very last bits of it. These are bits that I've swept up from the table as recycling bits. And it's got a little bit of laser offcut stuck into it. Rambling along, I'm sorry. You got a speaking bit, I'm sure you'll be fine. I don't remember speaking in English. Oh, there's another bit there. So I'm just doing this from height because I don't want it clumping. I also don't want little bits of thin laser card stuck to it, but that's beside the point. So this is powdered grout, so it's designed to be mixed in water, so it will react with the PVA doubly so, and should form a nice hard textured surface stuck straight to the wall. I will of course have to leave this for a little while to adhere, but once it does it'll be rock solid. It'll be like sandpaper to an extent. It is a really good way of adding texture to a wall to replicate all kinds of renderings. I'm sorry, I'm just tilting this up to get it down into the joint there. This bit here, it's not that easy to do. Another little trick I could do to speed that process up is to just give it a misting of water. Not to speed the process up, to help with the adhesion. I just give it a spray of water, which will react with the grout and help it set better. But I don't want to do that while it's clumped, so I do need to shake the excess off a little bit. I'm just going to turn this around and just blow it gently. Try and get the use a brush now. Try and tease the grout into that seam between the two walls. Just using a dry brush, as in it's dry not wet, not the dry brush painting technique, because we're not painting right now. What I'm going to do when all this is set solid is I'm going to airbrush the whole lot with my midstone colour. And then we can begin the painting process proper. So I'm just tamping it down to an extent into the glue. It's setting quite nicely already, but it actually will take a little bit of time. So I had hoped on starting to paint tonight, but I realistically need to wait overnight, or at least 24 hours until tomorrow evening, for this this rendered wall to fully cure. So there, that's tamped down quite well. And if I stand it back up again now, not an awful lot should fall off. No, like so. So what I really need to do now, like I say, is just leave that for 24 hours for it to set. And this wall has been done in very much in exactly the same way, and that's actually rock solid now. What time we're on? 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. So if Ray's still there, just done this evening. I'm working on this part of the wall here. We've just scribed in a little bit of stonework across the top and into these corners here. So all this wall's been rendered. Actually got a few divots there that I thought were probably going to be okay, but they're a little bit more exaggerated. So I'm just going to, instead of trying to sand those flat, I'm just going to use a little bit of ready mixed filler. And just sort of smooth over those big divots. That's possibly a combination of imprecise filling and scratching it in when I've been sanding. So I'll just put a very thin layer of ready mixed filler over the top of that, just to sort out some of those pesky divots. I can't wait to get a coat of paint on this so I can stick the doors behind. But we're not quite there yet. It will require a slight sand once this is dried as well. Keep sliding. Could do with a non-slip mat. Okay, I'm happy with that now. So there is another little task I can do with doing. Annoyingly, I glued a windowsill onto there yesterday. It seems to have fallen off. So that's something I need to do. But one thing I need to do, which I have been neglecting to do for a while, I don't know why. I just haven't got round to it, is to rescribe the stonework on this section. Now there's a little bit of glue run from sticking the roof on. I just have to try and get without. Now this was originally done with card, and again it was laser etched, but the detail is just a little bit fine. I want to go over and embellish that now with my scribe. So I'm just going to scratch through the glue that's run down with a scalpel, because the scribe won't go through that. A little bit of an unfortunate accident from gluing the roof down. To be fair, the super glue was a little bit too runny. again, like I did with the other side, I'm just going back over these finely etched bits of stone here with the scribing tool, just to embellish that stonework. I really need to give it a bit of a better paint job yet, it's only had an undercoat. But I can't remember what it looks like now, whether it's dark mortar or light or a combination of the two, but it certainly needs a little bit of attention just to make those stones stand out. We are a little bit scruffy in the reveals here because I had to put a little bit of filler in, which I've up until this point not scraped back. So now it's completely hardened, I am able to just go in with a scalpel and neaten those edges up a little bit. Because of how I made these, we just had a little bit of a seam between the pieces of card, so I had to run a little bit of a filler on the insides just to build that up. And that of course will need to be painted the stone colour to match the outsides, and then the window frames can be painted with the same green as the rest of it. As you might be able to see, I still haven't finished tiling the turret roof here. I've just kind of abandoned that for the time being, but I will come back to it. There are birds, are there? I bet they like it up there. Thought they might be bats. Are we definitely sure they're birds then? No worries, I'll hopefully get this up tomorrow. And the beauty of that is you can then fast forward through it and watch it in double time. So if anybody's watching this is not already aware, I do have a YouTube channel. and I've been uploading the live progress of this particular build as I've done it. So they're up in sort of 2 and 3 hour sections, so you can watch them back at your leisure if you're interested in this sort of thing. Like I say, the beauty of it is if you're watching it back on YouTube, you can fast forward through it, or watch it on twice fast or whatever. It does get a little bit samey watching the same thing. So if you're watching this back in YouTube and I'm speaking really, really fast, it's because I've given you the idea of watching it in double speed. So while I've got the scribe out, I'll just go back over this part of the turret. Just put a bit more depth back into the stonework. And I've just spotted an area that I could do with getting the filler out for, which I keep forgetting about. There's a gap in the bottom here which is not going to be there. It's actually below ground level, so I don't need to concern myself too much with it, but that's why there's a bit of a gap there, in case you were wondering. It's just I didn't actually make all the way down to the bottom because I knew it was going to be covered by the roadway. So there's just a bit of a transition now here between the turret part and this straight wall, which I've been meaning to fill for a while. So I'm just going to use some of my ready mixed filler and just smooth some of that into the gap. It will be covered in the same way with the grout mixture eventually, but before I can do that I just need to make sure that that gap's filled. So I've just used some masking tape to try and prevent it going everywhere. joint out a lot. Helps the joint out, and I should now be able to, when it's dry, do the same technique and fill all that area with grout. But I can't do that just yet because I need to add another wall section on here, so that's why it's been left. But we're slowly getting there. Right, I think that's about as much as I can do this evening. That's as much as I want to do this evening, shall we say. It's yeah, it's a good point to stop now. I'm waiting for things to dry, for things to set, and then hopefully I should be able to do a bit of painting tomorrow on that other side. So I'm going to call it a night, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you very much for keeping me company tonight, and I hope you have a pleasant rest of your evening.